So the first thing you brought up was that the majority of women who do OnlyFans only make a small amount of money, which of course is true. But does this mean you concede that it is empowering for women who make a lot of money?
It depends on what you mean by the word empowered. If you think that, having a lot of money is empowering, you could say that. I don't think that as a whole for women it's empowering whatsoever. In fact, I think if you're a feminist, which I would guess that you are, the original goals of feminism were to eliminate this idea that women were objects and that was bad for women and it was exploitative. So I don't see how just moving it into the digital realm makes it any less exploitative, uh, any more empowering. So how are you empowered by making a lot of money on OnlyFans?
Well, money intrinsically gives people power and freedom to do things that they want to do.
And so, was I correct in reading in your bio on Twitter that you have a master's in something? Do you have a college
No,
degree?
yes, I
You
do.
don't. Okay. Oh, you
Yes.
do have a college
I
degree.
don't have a master's, no. I have a bachelor's
Okay.
degree.
So, is there no way that you could make money doing something that you went to school for instead?
No, there absolutely is. And I think that further goes to show that I'm doing this by completely my own volition. I'm educated. I could get another job if I wanted to, but I obviously wanted to do this more. It's more
So
fun. It
she's
gives me more
lazy.
freedom. So that's what I chose to do.
So she's lazy.
So, how long are you planning to be in the industry?
I'm not sure. I kind of just like roll the dice. I think I'll do it as long as I enjoy it. As soon as I stop enjoying it, or as soon as the money stops rolling in, I'll stop.
And then what would your plans be? Have you thought about what you will do with your life after that chapter of your life is over?
Not really. I have thought
No.
about maybe going back to study,
No.
but I don't know. I'll sort it out when the time comes. But I would like to circle back to the original point because you kind of did concede a little bit that if you're making a lot of money on OnlyFans, then you agree that that's empowering.
Well, I don't know. See, here's the thing. The reason I went down this line of inquiry with you is yes, you have a lot of money right now. Perhaps maybe you're one of the top earners and you do really well on OnlyFans. That might feel very empowering right now, but this is a very limited short time in your life and you're going to have a lot of years after OnlyFans. So, let's say you have tons of longevity and you do this till you're 35, which I believe the average like actress in this industry is something like 8 to 11 years and then they're done. One of the reasons is you age out of it pretty quickly. There's always a new batch of younger girls coming through, right? So even if you had a lot of longevity and you do this till you're 35, what if you live till you're 85 and you've got 50 more years? I mean, are you going to have health care from doing this? Are you going to have long-term
Well,
investments?
I
Are you
live in
going to have
Australia, so we have universal healthcare.
Okay,
But I'm
so you're
already put far ahead in a position that most people in their 20s would be by doing this work. So I'm not sure what the argument is that, like, once I turn 35, the money's instantly going to dry up and I'm not going to know what to do. That doesn't really
well,
apply.
just because statistically workers are not known for having, 401ks and IRAs and doing investments and thinking ahead, it tends to be people who, like you, say, "Oh, I haven't really thought about what I'm going to do after this," and so they don't plan very well. And like I said,
I
if
mean,
you've
I
got
have planned, haven't I? Because I've gone to university. So
yeah, and why aren't you working in the job that you got a degree in?
because I don't need to nor want to. I would much prefer to do this
So
because,
Right.
as I stated earlier,
what's
I
going to
get
make
better
you want
hours,
to
creative freedom.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So you think that all of a sudden when you're older, you're going to flip a switch and like join the workforce when you don't have a work history, when your content is searchable online, especially if you're doing well in this, you're probably pretty famous. People are going to recognize you. So, I mean, what do you think you're going to turn 30 and suddenly want to like join the workforce and start at the bottom and make, maybe a tenth of what you're making now and start working your way up at that point?
I mean,
So,
not really, but
so
like I
my
said, I'll already be so far ahead in life because of what I've chosen to do at this point.
Uh-huh. So you don't think that this is going to limit your future choices?
It might, like in terms of like I won't be able to become the Prime Minister of Australia, but that's not
Right.
something I ever intend on doing. So,
Probably won't ever be able to become the public face of a company unless you're still
I
in the
mean,
sex
I
industry.
technically am the public face of my own business. So,
Right. So you've kind of stuck yourself in the sex industry because you're a publicly recognizable face in the sex industry. So after this, Your options for getting married are going to drastically shrink. Drastically shrink. There's only there you can find men who will get married after you've had a history like this, but it's going to be much smaller. Your career options are going to be much smaller unless you have really thought ahead and made very smart investments and done well with your money. It's going to drastically limit your ability to make money in the future.
So
So,
if I told you I have made good investment choices, would you concede that it is empowering for me?
well, that's just one dimension of the things that we talked about. So it kind of like
Hmm.
empowering. I don't know. Maybe for you personally, on a temporary basis, if you want to
So
say
you
that you
agree
feel
that OnlyFans can
empowered,
be empowering for women?
I, I don't agree, but you're going to say that
But
that's how you
didn't you just say
feel.
it could be empowering for me?
I said from your perspective.
So it would be empowering.
If you say so, I suppose we could come back in 20 years and see how it's going at that point. You could ask Mia Khalifa and all of the girls who have quit OnlyFans and tried to move on with life how it's going. Most of them not going so great. Most of them not doing so well, struggle with a lot of mental health problems and things like that. But again, empowering for women. We're not just talking about you. We're talking about women.
Sure,
And
but this is never going to be empowering for every single person who does it or people who don't do it. I don't think any job is
Well,
empowering
then
for
we
every
would have
single
to do
person
more or
involved.
less, wouldn't we?
so if it only empowers a tiny handful of women who also the majority of people who leave commercial work later do say they regret it. Ton of surveys, ton of studies on this. How is it empowering women and not just maybe one or two outlier women who truly do
Do you
love
think
being
that
in the
being a
sex
business owner
industry?
empowers people?
Not necessarily. It
You
depends.
don't think being a business owner empowers people?
Like I
No,
said,
not
it depends.
always.
If
It
you
depends, right? So if
right.
you start a business and it fails completely and you lose a bunch of money, that's probably not really empowering, right? But if you are a business owner and massively successful, financially independent, that would be pretty empowering, wouldn't it?
So you say you own a business. How much of your income goes to OnlyFans website?
As in how
20,
much of my income is from OnlyFans?
no, how much
Um,
does OnlyFans collect out of your
or
revenue?
how 30%. They take 30%.
Okay. And then do you have a manager?
No,
Do you have anybody who's a chatter for
a
you?
chatter. As in
Yeah,
they
like
write messages for me?
yeah.
No. I
Okay,
run everything myself.
so you're chatting. So all the guys
Mhm.
who think they're chatting with you on your OnlyFans are actually talking to you.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Sure, sure
Yeah,
they.
right.
Okay,
They
so
are
let's
100% are. I've never hired anyone to do that for me.
Uh-huh.
That's something I personally enjoy doing myself. So,
Uh-huh.
how many subscribers do you have if you don't mind me asking?
I don't know at the moment. I haven't checked in a while.
Is it
Yeah.
like over 500?
Probably over 3,000.
Okay,
Oh,
over
she's tiny.
3,000. And how many do you chat with?
I don't chat very often. No.
Okay. It's pretty vague, pretty vague. But let's just say you chat with 10% of your audience. That's like 300 guys. You're
10%
chatting with all of them.
of OnlyFans users do not message. It's a like very small amount. I'd probably say maybe 1% of
Okay, so maybe
subscribers
like
use the
30
chat.
guys.
Oh, more than that.
More than that. Okay. So okay, all right. We're gonna believe you. We're gonna believe that you're in here
Hmm.
actually chatting with dozens of
I
dudes.
sure am. I take
Uh-huh.
great pride in that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. That's what they all tell me. I've talked to a lot of
No,
gals who do
I disagree
OnlyFans.
with the women who do that. I don't think they should be lying about who's chatting with them. I think if you are hiring someone to chat for you, you should like mark it in a signature at the end, kind of like an email. Hey, this is from Julie. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. So you're a strong independent creator. What do you say about the women who do have because this is something that happens a lot. After COVID, a lot of very vulnerable women were recruited. Everybody out there, I don't know if you know, but OnlyFans has recruiters. A lot of them are female content creators who recruit women into the space for OnlyFans. A lot of these people end up later saying they've been exploited, that they had managers who were basically e-pimps running their stuff, running scams, chatting on their behalf, taking a large cut of what they make. So again, could it be the case that one or two or a few or a handful of these women are making a ton of money? They're doing it all themselves, like you claim to be. You don't have a manager, you don't have anybody running your marketing, you don't have anybody doing chatting for you, and you're massively successful. Let's say that's the case. The vast majority are not in that boat. The vast majority are not making good money. They are having a manager or an exploitative person taking a huge cut of their money. So on the whole, does this empower women? I don't think so. And like I said, this is stuff that's going to be around forever. Eventually, especially if the more popular you are on these sites, you can't control who subscribes to you. So you might have this illusion that you're in control, but your neighbor can subscribe to you. Your boss later in life can subscribe to you.
I don't care. Could we actually circle back to the point about?
I think a lot of women would care, and we're not just talking about you. We're
I'm not
talking
most
about
women.
women.
What can I say?
What's that?
Anyway, so I'm not most women.
They all say that
Well,
too.
yeah,
Coming back to the point
you're not
about
like the
being a
other girls.
business.
You're not
I
like the
know.
other girls.
I know.
Yeah, I'm not
You're
like
very
the other
special,
girl,
I can
exactly.
tell. So, but women in general.
Can we actually just go back to the point you made earlier about being a business owner can obviously be very empowering depending on the circumstance. Obviously, if your business isn't going well, it's probably not very empowering, aka like your OnlyFans flops.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're probably not feeling very empowered. But in the case where it's going well, you're making money, you're enjoying what you're doing, even if you have a manager, they're still in control of their content. They've outsourced the work that they don't want to do, which is usually chatting, uploading, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and marketing,
That
making,
can totally still be empowering.
doing their social media and stuff. Yeah, okay, well, that could be the case, but you are in a special business where I looked at the statistics and it's only about 3 to 5 years of longevity, because what happens is when a new girl comes on the scene and she becomes popular, she gets a big following, consumers get tired of one girl after a certain amount of time and they're on to someone else. They tend to move on to a younger person, a newer person. And because we're dealing with a little something called hoflation, because there's 4.5 million creators on OnlyFans now. I mean, there's so many, it's so saturated as a market that we're seeing people like Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips have to do more and more crazy and more extreme stunts in order to get their market share, right? That's why only a handful of the women really make a lot of money on this. So what do you think that that's empowering to be in a business where there's such a short lifespan, such a short shelf life on your popularity, and you're forced to have to do crazier and more extreme things to try to keep your subscribers or grow your subscribers? Do you think that's empowering?
Well, for me personally, I've never felt pressured to do anything that's out of my comfort zone. I've
What does that have to do with you? It's
done
not you.
content that
It's not about you.
I feel comfortable with. That's why I say this is great in terms of like agency and my autonomy. I control my content. So again, like, do you concede on the fact that OnlyFans is empowering for women like me?
No, because I have never done work. I've never done fee, and I'm autonomous. There's nobody controlling my. I've never had a problem with autonomy, and I didn't have to get into work in order to have autonomy. So I don't see how that's a point in your favor. Couldn't I have sexual autonomy without doing OnlyFans?
Just earlier, you were saying that you can see how it would be empowering for me, and now you're kind of backtracking from that a little bit.
You keep trying to hammer that because you think you really got something.
Well, because that's the entire point of the debate.
The point of the debate is for women, not
the
you.
Debate is, does OnlyFans empower women?
Yeah, not you. Not you.
You're saying it empowers. You're saying it empowers you.
With that?
No, you're saying it empowers you, and that's an unfalsifiable claim. So if you're telling me about your emotional state, I can't falsify that claim. But what I can do is look at women as a whole in the industry, and I can look at the statistics. I can look at all the facts and figures about what happens to women in general when they enter commercial work. And those are the points that I'm making.
Yeah,
I
can't falsify an emotional state.
How you feel, your mental state and what you claim your mental state to be. You could be lying. You could be telling the truth. I would have no way to verify it whatsoever.
Well, I can tell you I'm not lying. So can we just, for the sake of the argument, assume I'm not lying?
Yeah, sure. I believe you.
So would you agree then that OnlyFans is empowering for me?
Well, how long have you been in the industry?
OnlyFans in particular, maybe 4 years.
Okay, 4 years. So do you think that's a long enough time for you to say, yes, this has empowered me? Or do you think that 10 years from now, you might look back and have a different view on it?
I don't think I will have a different view on it.
Okay.
I'm a very really liberal person. I don't see that changing anytime or in
Why
the
does this
future.
chick keep bringing it back to her?
That your income you have right now is reliable?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, statistically...
Again, I am a YouTuber. I have a pretty big channel, so a lot of the money is coming through other avenues, not just OnlyFans.
Okay. Well, that's probably smart, but on the whole, again, this is not reliable income for the vast majority of women who do this, and they're very pulled in by girls like you who make it seem very glamorous, make it seem like fast, easy money.
I don't think I do. I tell people it's not fast, easy money. Not everyone can do what I can do. Even in the beginning, I said this isn't going to be empowering for everyone.
Is it empowering for most, though?
Well, that sounds like you're making a concession in my direction then. If you're saying it's not empowering for everyone, just for me, and the debate topic is it empowering for women, not is it empowering for diddly? So I want to hear if you have any argument.
Well, no, there are many other women who do it who would also find it empowering.
Would you say that the majority of women who start an OnlyFans are going to leave the industry saying that it empowered them? Would you say that?
It's hard to say because obviously there's like very limited research on this. So I can't say for sure. But I think people definitely do overvalue how much is at stake when someone leaves OnlyFans. Obviously, if you start an OnlyFans account and you have 15 followers on Instagram, you realize it's not a lucrative option and you shut it down. Your content is not going to be out there online forever like you claim. These are people who no one knows and they can just quietly leave the internet. It's more creators like me
Bullshit.
who content obviously is always going to be out there. I acknowledge that. I know that's the reality and I am okay with that.